Hey guys, it's the Board Game Bully back with another board game review as we slowly make it through our backlog of games. But unfortunately we are actually making negative progress as in the last few weeks we have added another 15 to 20 games to our collection and done one review. So, we're going old school here. Ticket to Ride won the 2004 German Game of the Year called the Spiel des Jahres. Considered probably to be one of the best gateway games of its time. It's now 2021, obviously, 17 years since it won the Spiel des Jahres. Does it still hold up? Is it still the best in class for what it does? Or has it been surpassed by other games or even other Ticket to Rides? Let's have a look. Alright, so here you can see the board. As you can see, you've got various American cities throughout the map. Dallas, Chicago, Las Vegas, San Francisco. And your job in this game will be to connect these cities together through train routes. See, on the outside you have a scoring track. That's how you keep track of the score. Funny that. So, the game isn't just about laying out random train lines. Of course, you will, at the start of the game, draw 3 of these ticket cards. Now, these tickets, if the camera will focus on them, focus on me. You see these tickets have 2 locations on them. So this one, for instance, you need to connect San Francisco and Atlanta. So what that means is San Francisco is over here. You would need to connect a train line completely uninterrupted across here to Atlanta. In any way you can go. You can go there as quickly as you, like in the shortest possible route or the longest possible route. All that matters is that those 2 spots are connected uninterrupted by your train line. When you are playing with 3 or more players, you can see these double tracks here. You will be able, 2 players will be able to put their trains on here, one on this side and one on the other. So that is your objective. At the end of the game, if you have done your objective, you will get however many points are in the bottom right. Focus on me, camera. 17. If you haven't done it, you will lose 17. So you'll, at the start of the game, you'll draw 3 and you will keep at least 2. So often it can be a good idea to keep ones that are in a similar area or going along a similar direction. Now, the way you will do that by drawing these train cards. So you have a deck, a large deck, well, a large, small deck of train cards, and these train cards will have various colours on them, for instance, and those colours will match up with the colours on the board. So to go here, for instance, from Santa Fe to Oklahoma City, I would need to have 3 blue cards, which will look like that. To go from El Paso to Dallas, that's right, you guessed it, I would need 4 red cards, which will look like that. The only special type of card in the train deck are locomotive cards. Locomotive cards look like that, just less blurry. Now they are counted as wild. They can be used as anything. So for instance, this El Paso to Dallas, I could do 3 reds and 1 wild, or I could do 1 red and 3 wilds if I wanted to. Now, how do you get these cards? Excellent question. Glad that you asked. Just for the sake of this, I'm just going to set it up on the board, but you would never have it set up like this. So, the game will be set up. You will have your draw deck there, and you will have 5 cards laid out like this. Now, if there are ever 3 or more locomotive cards in play at the same time, you scrap the entire run of cards and you lay out another 5. So what it does, it comes to my turn, I have a few options on how I would like to draw these cards. I could draw from the top. If I draw from the top, I simply take the card, look at it, and then I decide if I want to draw again. You can draw 2 cards on your turn. So I've drawn one from the top, I've looked at it, I want to draw another one from the top. Perfect, done. Or I could draw one from here. So I take this red. Now before I do anything else, we have to refill it. Now this is important because when we refill it, we could get the 3rd locomotive and we could scrap it. So I could have been wanting to take the 2 reds. However, if a 3rd locomotive had have come up there, I would have lost my opportunity. We would discard these cards and put down another 5. So I draw the red, that's fine. Now I can draw this second red and refill, or I can go to the top of the deck. Now, if I want this wild card, I have to draw it as my first draw action, because drawing a locomotive card, you only get to do that. You don't get to draw a second card with it, you simply take that, that is the end of your turn. There is one exception to this rule, however. If this locomotive card was on top here, and I chose to draw off the top, I know I've drawn the locomotive, but no one else at the table does because I've drawn it blind. So I would still get to draw a second card there. Obviously I couldn't take this locomotive here because it's no longer my first draw action, but I could take another one from the top or any of the other ones from the run. And that is how you get cards in your hand. There is no hand limit. There are various strategies on what you can do. You can say, for instance, if I'm trying to go from San Francisco to Kansas City, you know, I could try and stack up 5 whites, 3 yellows, and 4 blacks. And then once I've got all those, I could lay my trains. Now, how am I going to lay my trains? On your turn, if you do not draw, you can lay down trains. So, we'll take these 3 cards because they're right here. I have 2 wilds and a red. I show that I'm playing 2 wilds and a red, and then I can put 3 trains on any space that comes up with, that constitutes 3 red spaces. So 1, 2, 3. I'll then immediately score. The more trains you play in one turn, the more points you get. So what that means is you can only lay down dot to dot, but as you can see, these dot to dots, they have different amounts. Here is 3, here is 4. You've got a little scoring table in the bottom right here. If I play a 1 train route, here for example, I will get 1 point. A 2 train route, here for example, I will get 2 points. It starts to jump then. A 3 train route, like I just played, is worth 4 points. A 4 train route, 7. A 5 train route, 10. And a 6 train route, 15. Now, the important thing to note, I've played my 2 wilds and my red. I try and go here, I'm like, oh, I'm going to play 3 of this, and then I'll put the other red on there in my other turn. You can't do that. You need to finish the route, or else you can't play. The third and final action, just like the start of the game, you can draw 3 of these destination cards. This time, however, you only need to keep at least 1. That is your third action. So, on your turn, you draw, you place trains, or you pick up tickets. That's it. Play goes around and around and around until one player has 2 trains or less left in front of them. As soon as that happens, it starts the end game. Everyone gets one last chance to lay down trains, and then you do final scoring. Final scoring, obviously you take the points that you've gotten from playing your trains, you add in or subtract for completed or non-completed routes, and then whoever has the longest train, longest uninterrupted train line, will get a bonus 10 points. That's the game. Ticket to Ride is one of my favourite games to play with people that don't have board game experience. I feel like it's something that can easily be explained. You get to the table and you get to bring out a big box. And you play a big box game with someone who all they know about board games is Monopoly. You know, and there's just a different feeling to that a lot of the times when we play games with non-board gamers, there'll be these little tiny card games or these really, really basic games that they're just small and there's no grandiose feeling to it. But if someone hasn't played a board game before, you bring out this big box. And the great thing about Ticket to Ride is it's so easy to understand. So you bring out this big box, you lay out this big board with all these nice components and these cards, and this person doesn't have any experience to board gaming whatsoever, and within a couple of rounds, they get it. And it's like, oh my god, I'm a genius. Look at the size of this game. I've figured it out in 2 rounds. And then all of these things here, when they come into your house and they look at your wall and just go, oh my god, like, there's no way I could ever understand that. They look at these boxes and they're like, I mean, I figured out Ticket to Ride. I could figure out this stuff, surely. And I think that's what's so great about it. It has that grandiose nature of feeling and looking like a bigger game than it is. And that's how you get them in. Just caught ya. You're in. You're part of my group now. Let's play Twilight Strike. So, Ticket to Ride. Where does it rate for me in 2021? Well, let's look at the system. Let's look at the rules first. The rules, it's not a rule book. It's literally a leaflet. It's nicely illustrated. Everything's broken up in a way that makes sense. And the setting up the game, and then the object of the game here, this little part here is basically all you need to read. The rules are a 10 out of 10. I mean, it helps when there are only 3 things you can do on your turn. Like, that's your decision. Do you want to pick up cards? Do you want to pick up tickets? Or do you want to play some trains? That's it. It is, and for a game that only has 3 options, the rulebook only needs to be a leaflet. So the rules, 10 out of 10. Can't get any better rulebook than the Ticket to Ride rulebook. The artwork and components. The board, beautiful map of America. The individual ticket cards have that map and they've got everything located, so they're great. Your train cards, you know, each colour has its own little different illustration, which I guess could help with colourblind issues, so that's great. The trains themselves that you're playing, nice plastic moulded pieces. But, whose idea was this? I'm going to put this in my hand, right? That's the size of the cards in this game. Why? Who thought that was a good idea? Who is that helping? These cards need to be shuffled, and shuffled frequently. What was the idea behind this? This is enough to make me never want to play Ticket to Ride America again. Because I have if Ticket to Ride America was the only Ticket to Ride I had, cool, I would continue to play it. But I have Ticket to Ride Europe. I don't need to deal with this. So for the artwork and components, I hate those cards so much, I give it a 5. A 5. Now accessibility. Accessibility, it's hard to quantify. Like, what do I mean by accessibility? Well, you know, the rules being easy, that's great, that's a start. But also look at the theme. It's a non-offensive theme, you know. Everyone comes to the board game table with their own baggage, their own likes, their own dislikes. Making train lines, it's not going to offend anyone, so that's great. It's easy to pick up, the turns are fast. There's barely any downtime, which is really good to keep people engaged. So I'm going to give the accessibility a 10. And last, gameplay, you know. Do I enjoy playing it? And since I've already rated it down on the components, I'm going to try and take those out of my brain and just think about the gameplay experience and not the fact that I'm holding and shuffling these stupid little cards over and over again. And for that, I give it an 8. I just enjoy playing the game. I played the game just 2 nights ago. We played a 5-player game, and it was really cool to see how the group interacted with each other, because you had myself, my partner, who have both played, but very huge difference in experience. We had another guy who was very experienced, and then 2 people who were brand new. And I had to say, like, I was like a proud papa bear, because I explained like the game to them, and I said, I'm like, you know, you can, when we're playing 5 people, try not to get offended, because like you can accidentally cut people off. And then almost straight away, people started accidentally cutting each other off. And it was just great that they got the game straight away, got some of those, you know, ideas straight away, and just started playing. It was a really, really good experience. So I give that an 8 out of 10, which gives us a total of 8.25 out of 10. Solid. Solid. For me, I would probably put Europe higher, and for a smaller player count, I would put Nordic countries higher, just because they don't have those cards and they have an extra couple of rules in there. But America's great. It definitely holds up.